This is Ready, Set, Reiki, a podcast about Reiki and all energy work, from the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, and all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination. And on this Ready, Set, Reiki journey, I refer to myself as a guide rather than a host, as I too am traveling, helping, supporting others, and learning on this Reiki journey as well. And with that said, I am your guide, Tracy C. Wright, and this is Ready, Set, Reiki. Reiki blessings to everyone. I hope you're having an amazing and wonderful day. Welcome to Ready, Set, Reiki. What a beautiful journey that we have today. So my guest is a tarot reader, and you may not know that, I am as well. And so I chose to pick a card today. Well, the card chose me, and that is passion. So this is the invitation for you to find your passion. What lights you up? Resurrect maybe that childhood dream to bring in and let that passion come in. And recently I had gone to Sedona, and on the way back, I had gotten a sinus infection, and it really was taking me down. And it really was an invitation for me to kind of clear my schedule for a little bit and really decide what lights me up. What is my passion? And I know my next guest here has a passion. She is an intuitive tarot card reader. She has a podcast. She's the founder of Spirit Journey Collective. And through her unique blend of intuitive tarot, spiritual channeling, and grounded guidance, and that is Sarah Tai. Now, she helps her clients reconnect with the authenticity of uncovering clarity and taking empowered steps towards creating a life that they desire. Going right back to that passion again, right? What lights you up? Now, she offers one-on-one readings, event experiences, and collective insights through her podcast, providing a safe and supportive space for growth and self-discovery. So let's give a warm Ready, Set, Reiki welcome to Sarah. Yay!
Thank you for having me, Tracy. I'm so happy to be here.
Wonderful. So let's begin this passionate journey that we both love: tarot cards, channeling, all the wonderful things. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Sarah Tai, and that was such a beautiful introduction. I've been reading tarot just since high school, so that's just been a passion I've had on the side for several years. But I've been doing it professionally for about 4.5 years, and ever since I've been called into it professionally, because I didn't choose this; it chose me. It has changed my life in the best way, and it's a combination of I love seeing how it impacts others and helping others, that it also fulfills me in a way that I can't explain either.
Right. Right. Beautiful. Now, our journey here, we talk a little bit about Reiki, and it's quite interesting. Reiki is kind of a wonderful stress reducing modality. Some just come to level 1 and they feel that's enough. Some have the calling to go all the way to master teacher and teach. And in your case, level 1, which is absolutely important because that is the gift not only to yourself, but to others, and really working on yourself. So when did Reiki come into your life? Did you find it, or did it find you?
It definitely found me. It was recommended to me by a friend at the time. And it's funny because I was super skeptical. And this was even before I was reading professionally with tarot. So for me, it sounded a little bit too woo woo. And then I experienced it for the first time. I was encouraged to check out a certain teacher, and I did. And it really, she knew things about me that she shouldn't have known. First off, and then I felt something shift that I couldn't explain. So it was enough of a curiosity to make me want to go to the class. And I may go further. I haven't felt called yet to go further beyond the Reiki one, but everything I've learned from when I do get sessions versus in that class, it really opened my eyes to energy is real, which of course now I know that as a tarot reader, as a professional tarot reader, I know that now. But before I was reading professionally, I didn't really understand how important our energy cleansing was and how much our energy impacted us and things like that.
Right. Beautiful. Beautiful. And I love how you said when you're called. It's not forced. It honors free will. You got a little taste of it and you're weaving it in or going to other Reiki practitioners to help level up. And all of that could possibly be a part of your journey into leading you where you are today and having those tools in that energetic toolbox. So as you've gone through this journey here, tarot reading, channeling, what are some of the misconceptions? And we know misconceptions there are about Reiki, but the work that you do, what are some of the misconceptions that you hear from people, or once they hear, "Ooh, you're a tarot reader"?
There are definitely a few. There's a lot of stigma still around it. And I feel like, so one of the first ones is most people seem to think it has something to do with like devil worship, or even compare it to Ouija boards, which I find super fascinating because they are not the same at all. I mean, you can use tarot to reach across the spirits, but that's not the purpose of it. That's not the reason it was created. So that's the first one, is that it's not. I like to say it's just paper. It's all about the intention behind it. And so the intention behind using the cards is what will fuel it. And so the way that I read is all in love and light. It's all about connecting with your higher power. And I do see myself as that channel and vessel. That's just kind of the in between, right? But yeah, it's not what Hollywood makes it out to be, is first and foremost. And another one, I think most people they have this belief that there are good and bad cards, and there's not. I
Right.
really subscribe to the belief that all cards are medicine, even the ones that are, quote, scary. But I don't see any of them as scary. They're all here for your highest good. So even like, for instance, the devil, that one comes off pretty heavy just right off the bat, right? Just its name. But that one is all about breaking cycles. It's about breaking addiction, breaking toxic behaviors, getting away from toxic people or things. It's realizing what isn't serving you and what's holding you back. And then you're at a crossroads to do something different and uncomfortable, but worth it. And so, yes, it looks scary, it sounds scary, but it's actually all for your growth.
Right. I know, like when you see the death card, you're like, "Oh no, who's gonna?" And that's, we take it with this human mind through our experiences, because we're interpreting it through what we've been through, and it could mean something completely different. I have a good friend, and we go back and forth, and we do card readings for each other. And even I found her like, "Is it this? Is it this?" I'm like, "You remember, this is a snapshot. We don't know the whole story, and then something will happen." And then she's like, "Aha, it makes sense now," right? So keep an open mind with that. It doesn't mean like your loved one's going to drop dead. It could be something like is ending, whether a job or, you're going to be moving somewhere else. So yeah, keep it with an open mind. So as you're out and you're doing this work, many people often come to an intuitive tarot reader because things are going on. They need guidance. They need to be grounded. They need to be empowered. And as you're helping them with their challenges, as you stand here in this journey, looking back, what has been the biggest challenge you faced in your own profession?
That's a really great question. I think the biggest challenge I had was trusting myself, because when I first came into this work, again, I was called into it, and I had a lot of questions on whether or not it was sustainable, whether or not it was something that was, and I believed in it because by the time I came into it and it was called professionally, I had been reading for myself for a long while, and I trusted the cards myself. But when I was being called to do it professionally, I was like, well, will this work for everyone else too? Like, can I be that, that? And I didn't quite understand that I was a channel yet either when I first started. So it took a little bit of while. It took a while of just consistent validation and messaging back of what people were getting from my readings that made me go, okay, now I can start trusting and leaning into this, which allowed me to open up and trust myself more. And it went more from like reading more like by the book to intuitively, because I started, like, for instance, there are times where I'm reading for someone and a card will shift its meaning. Usually it's just slightly, but I'll be called to share a different aspect of it that I normally wouldn't. And the first few times that happened, it freaked me out because I didn't know what was happening. And so I would hold back from doing that because I'm like, no, I want to be in an integrity, and it feels wrong to share something that, I wouldn't normally, but then it wouldn't land. So I started kind of experimenting with it and going with it, and then it would land better. Or I would say phrases on a card that I normally wouldn't say, but it's a phrase that they're familiar with. That's like where the channeling part comes in. So it was my biggest challenge was learning to trust myself, trust my intuition, trust what's coming through. And I've just learned throughout the years that I am literally just the middleman, right? I'm just the vessel. And so whatever comes through me is what's meant to. And I like to say that when I do a reading, I just start talking, and it's like the best way to just let it flow. But I had to learn to trust myself.
Right. I know when I was doing this, like things would just, as you probably do with you, pop into the head, and it just seems so crazy. Like this might sound crazy when I'm telling you this, but don't you just it's amazing with this childlike wonder when you get the feedback that like, yes, that happened, or yes, they can validate that. And I don't necessarily want to kind of lump it with ego, but it's really just, it just blows me away. Like, oh my goodness, like, how did that happen? And then that helps you build your confidence when you have that validation that says, okay, I'm not making this up. I don't have this vivid imagination, right?
Yeah, well, describing it to a child wonder is a really great way to do it because that's what
Mhm.
happens. It's not like, oh, I'm so great. It's not like that. It's more like, oh
Mm.
my gosh, that's so cool. It's like witnessing real life magic is where really
Right,
what it feels like. And when you see it like from like a child's eyes, it's not about like you, it's about the experience. And like
right.
I had this really fun experience where I did a bridal shower and it was so last minute. It was just like they called me literally 2 hours and they're like, "Hey, can you be here today?" I was like, "Okay." Um, and so I mean every single reading was amazing. Everyone was really receptive and it was like a group reading, so everyone was sitting in on everyone's reading. And then I sat with this one woman who was very stoic. Like no, like was giving me nothing. I had no idea if anything I said made any sense. And I don't need tells by any means. I just like again, I just start talking and I just trust it helps to get something back. But if I don't, I'm just sharing what's coming through. And so that's where I was at. And so I was getting like nothing. As far as I knew, I was way off, but I was still continuing. And then I kept hearing in my mind the word checklists, 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 checklists. And I believe her question was something along the lines of like finding her purpose. And so this was about like what was holding her back from finding her purpose. And after a while, I finally was like, why do I keep hearing the word checklists? So I finally said, I'm so sorry. I don't know why, but I keep hearing the word checklist. And like the whole room broke out into laughter. She finally broke and she's like, oh my gosh, me, checklists? And the whole thing, a lot of what came through was like she was relying so much. She was so busy, first of all. And then she was relying so much on her checklist. There was no space for her to even look for her purpose because she was
Mhm.
overwhelmed. But yeah, it was like, it made no sense to me. But it was what she needed to like break open, if that makes sense. So
Absolutely.
it's random what comes through.
Right, right. So when you took that Reiki training and you felt like you were called to do that, what are some of the qualities that you saw in that particular teacher, or the certain qualities that you see or are called to in a Reiki practitioner?
So what amazed me about her was how just her energy was so calming. That was like right off the bat. Her energy, I mean, it's just like walking into like a breath of fresh air.
Mm.
And so it was just every time I was around her, I felt calm, I felt safe, I felt like, and it was not just because I have very high energy and I'm a little bit ADHD, anxiety. So for me, it's really hard to just be calm and still. And whenever I was in her presence, I just felt this calmness wash over me. And so
Beautiful.
I think there's a part of me that, was like, I want that calmness. There's like, I want to experience that. But then also, just she was just so full of integrity. I really, loved just, and I know in Reiki in general, there is a lot of teaching of integrity and not overstepping and respecting boundaries and things like that. But it was just so nice to see it, like see the integrity of living that. You know what I mean? It's one thing to say it and share it. It's another thing to like literally embody it. And so for me, it was a combination of integrity and then just this her energy was just so refreshing.
Beautiful. I love that. As many people look at like credentials, things like that, but just connecting with her energy. So knowing that there is more than just you having that certificate, right? That you have to
Yeah.
feel what you said, safe, right? Comfortable, resonate. I mean, and sometimes it just takes a photograph. Like, yeah, that's my person. I'm really called to that person, and I want them to be my teacher. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So, what advice would you give someone who's just entering this profession? They have been doing this, they want to be an intuitive reader, whether they want to start a podcast, the things that you have experienced and have achieved. What advice would you give them?
Love that question. So, I mean, I think that there's a couple things. Like one, you have to have some kind of a basis understanding. So take some kind of a course is what I'd recommend. I don't necessarily believe you have to take one with a certificate because I think that that's kind of more of a personal thing. The course that I took did not have a certificate because the teacher didn't believe in that. So I wouldn't say take it for the certificate per se, but take it to learn the cards because you want to, first of all, be able to read without having to use your book. It's, use your book or Google, right? You want to be able to already have the cards down and be able to get a picture of like what you're going to be reading. So definitely having a basis understanding. And so like, I like to kind of say baseline because be open to the interpretations that might come through too, that intuitive piece. And I would even say this is personal preference, but I would also say if you're going to do this professionally, there has to be a level of integrity that's also in there. And so some of the, like for me, my integrity is in the fact that I am completely. I've learned throughout my journey that I believe that there is a higher power that's guiding the reading. And so it's not coming from me. It's coming from me being the vessel. And so when you're able to trust in some kind of a higher power, whatever that looks like for you, because I don't believe in like denomination or anything like that, but being able to surrender and trust your higher guidance so that way it's not just you. You're not the interpreter. I mean, you're the interpreter, but you're not the all-knowing, if that makes sense. So having that sense of humbleness. And then I'd also say another thing I'd really highly recommend is learning what integrity looks like for you as far as like where the guidance is going to come, like the things you're going to guide. Because like for me, I will never tell someone what to do ever, and I really think that all readers should kind of follow that same ideology. But just because I'm a big believer in personal accountability and in the fact that we all make our own decisions. So I'm really, really, really careful with and so this is what I would recommend too, is really watch how you share things. So like if I see something with a push in a certain direction, I'll say things like, there's an invitation here for you. This is what you're being called into. But I never say, this is what you should do. Even when I do like, decision spreads where it's should I do A or should I do B? I'll tell them the energy around A and I'll tell them the energy around B. So that way they can make the decision and what feels right for them based off of that. Because I could tell them, I mean, even if there is a more ideal situation, which sometimes there is, sometimes it's should I leave or should I stay in a toxic relationship? And it's really obvious they should leave. They might still choose to stay. And it's not my place to tell them otherwise because it's their journey. It's their decision.
Yeah,
And they're probably
putting judgment aside. Yeah.
exactly. Yes, it's a great way to put it. So, yes, being able to remove judgment and bias is a big one. And it's not easy, not easy. So, I would say that if you want to do this professionally, you have to find that line of integrity for you and learn how to literally be the channel and not come in with your own perceived ideas because the reading isn't for you, it's for them. And another way that I heard it interpreted too by another really well-known reader, she said that, you know, the cards are meant to be interpreted a certain way through you. Because if you go to different readers, they might see the same message, but they're going to share it slightly different because of the way that they're viewing it with their lens. So you need to like understand that there's like a manipulation of higher power happening and it's for the higher person's good. So you have to like let yourself share what comes through, even if there's a part of you going, I don't want to share it like this. But if that's what you're being called to do, that's probably how they need to hear it. So I guess that's where that integrity, non-judgment, non-bias, it comes from. Um, and so I feel like that is huge if you're going to do this professionally. If you're doing it on your own, you want to just watch your own biases because sometimes we see what we want to see and not what's actually in front of us, So there's that. But if you want to do this professionally, I would really just highly stress the integrity piece.
Right. And knowing, that it is a snapshot in time, that it can be changed really up to you with free will. I often tell people like, think of the movie Back to the Future, right? By Marty McFly changing one thing, it changes. Like as he's looking at the picture and you see it slowly disappearing, you can choose, do nothing. This is the possibility of an ending, but you always have the power to say no with that.
Yes, another great one, another great analogy with that same idea is the Christmas Carol. When you're looking at the Ghost of Christmas Future, that's the projected future as of the time we start the movie, right?
Sure.
But of course, he comes back and he changes his entire life. So he probably didn't die alone in a grave. after he
Yeah.
came back and changed his life, but that's where he was projected. So yeah, it's exactly what I'll say too, is that it's the future. There's so many timelines. It's just the projection as of right now. If you
Right.
like it, great, keep doing what you're doing. If you really don't like what's laying on the table, then there's always an invitation and guidance to change it.
Yeah. And the key word is invitation, your choice, right?
Yes.
So what books do you recommend?
Oh, great question. Okay. So if you're wanting to do events, I would definitely recommend Have Tarot Will Party. And oh, who's that by? Oh my gosh, I forgot her name. Okay. It's called Have Tarot Will Party. If you go on my podcast, I actually interviewed her. So if
Perfect.
she's wonderful. I can't remember her name. I feel so bad. But she really breaks it down on how to do events and like the to-dos, the not to-dos. And so especially if you want to do this professionally, events are a great lucrative way to get in front of a lot of people, great practice. It's also really fun. I love sitting with people who literally have never done a tarot reading before, and I get to be their first experience, which is so fun.
Great.
Um, as far as like other books, oh, I think for me, because of the way that I learned, it was either through the course or just like reading the booklets that come with the tarot decks. So, I mean, I would say if you want to just professionally, another thing I would recommend is read both the booklets of your deck and like Google the cards individually, because there's so many different, each card has so many different interpretations that you want to find which one speaks most to you, that way for your baseline, and then also have an understanding of like the other meanings. But that way you get like the broader spectrum, because one booklet might have a slightly different interpretation than Google or another booklet. So just kind of having different options to read in that. But yeah, as far as just books in general, I just say read the one that comes with your deck.
Sure. And especially when it's been a passion, the book ends up finding you. I mean, I felt like I was just so thirsty for that information. I was just grabbing everything. So I'm sure in your spiritual journey, you were just grabbing and reading and just taking it all in. And then looking back, it probably seems like a blur, but it's
Yeah.
all in there. It's all in there marinated.
Right, right.
Do you offer any classes, events, or trainings?
So not at this time. I'm definitely on the fence about the teaching part. I think there's just that part of me, that imposter syndrome, that's still a little bit alive and well. But it is something I've thought about, and it's something I've considered. I do. I mean, I'll do collective readings. So this is more like on my podcast or on like Instagram or TikTok. I'll do like little readings here and there. So I do offerings in that way. Not quite teaching yet. So yeah, not quite there.
That's okay. That's okay. Where can we find you if we want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my website is www.spiritjourneycollective.com. You'll find basically everything on there between my podcast, my social media, my services, things like that. I offer one-on-one sessions. I also offer email readings, and those ones are really great if like you want to get a taste, but you don't want to like fully commit. You just want to see what I can do. The email readings are also like, they're just easy to, if you don't have the time. I get a lot of people who are like, I don't have time to sit with you, but I want a reading. And so you'll get about 15 to 20 minutes of a voice recorded reading from me. The one-on-one sessions are over Zoom. And then I also do, it's called the Alignment Project. And so it's almost a combination of tarot and coaching. So we do a tarot reading, and then we work through actionable steps to help you get through a block, get to where you want to go. And then you get a PDF packet from me with those actionable steps, journal prompts, things like that. So there's that as well. And then, as you mentioned, I also do events. So for those that are local, I've done corporate weddings, parties, etc. And then I also have a podcast as well, which Tracy was a guest a few months ago. So she's also on there too. It's called Spirit Journey Collective as well. I just kind of kept all the names the same. And that one, it's a combination. I do interviews with lovely people who feel like they found their purpose, such as Tracy. And then the other half of my podcast, I just started a new series called Spotlight. And I do featured readings for those that want to kind of like listen in and see what a reading looks like from me. Or if you're interested in being a featured guest, you could also apply for that as well, and that's free. But yeah, that's how you can find me.
Beautiful. And where are you located if someone's listening to this and like, I want to connect with her in person?
Yeah, so I'm in Southern California. I'm like not too about 40 minutes from LA.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, that ends the first part of our journey. I'm going to guide you into the second part, which are questions from listeners and from Reiki students. So, number one, when did you discover you were an intuitive tarot reader?
That's a great question. So I've known for myself for a good while. I think that that's kind of the beginning. And I would love to just kind of segue a little bit into my story into this because I don't know, it's so cool, especially like the more I think back on it. So about 8 years ago or so, I was in like a domestic violence marriage, and I wasn't sure if I should stay or go. I had a 1 year old, stay at home mom, really struggling, and it was really the first time that I turned to my tarot deck for real guidance. I think before that it was always just kind of fun. I always had it. I'd pull cards, but I never really realized that there was true guidance to it. And so I really just was like, you know what? Should I stay or should I go? The age old question. And I'll never forget. Oh, and sorry, let me backtrack just a little bit. Before I pulled my card, my deck out, I got woken up. My then husband had gone to work. I got woken up to my dogs going ballistic at my back patio, which is important because I was on the second floor of my apartment building. And I'm like, what are they barking at? There was a raven sitting on my balcony, and it was completely unbothered by my dogs. And one of them was a 50-pound Springer Spaniel. Totally did not even seem bothered. And we like made eye contact for, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds. It felt like longer, but it was the weirdest experience. So, of course, I Googled, well, what does it mean to see a raven? And I found out ravens really closely are interpreted to the death card in tarot, which is all about change and new beginnings and moving on and all that stuff. So I did the should I stay or should I go? If I stayed, I pulled the devil, which basically told me that the cycle was continuing. It wasn't going to get better. And then if I left, I pulled the death card, which perfectly correlated with that raven. And so that was the beginning of me using my deck for personal big decisions. And it was always super, super consistent. And so that was just something that I turned to for myself. And then fast forward to COVID times, and I had just started, I'd done my Reiki class, and I just started my spiritual awakening. And I was asking, well, what's my purpose? Because I was hearing all these podcasts about people finding their purpose, and I wanted one of those. And so it was um it was tarot that kept coming to me. And it was tarot that I kept saying, no, I'm not doing that. And so I just was very resistant to it. And then I lost one of my sources of income very unexpectedly. And I was panicking. I was trying to trust the process. So I was just learning this idea that things happen for you, not to you. So I was just in that like panic, calm kind of energy. And then I just heard clear as day, go work on your business. And I just knew exactly what that meant. It meant go work on my tarot. And so that was like the call into it. But then when I was thinking about it, I was kind of playing with the idea. I actually like posted on my social media that I was considering to being a reader, and I just asked anyone who was interested in letting me like practice on them. And so this is just strictly for feedback. And I had two different people. Well, first of all, everyone told me how much my readings resonated. So that blew me away. But then I had two different people who came to me and said, "Hey, what's your Venmo? I want to send you some money," because that was so relevant for me. And that blew my mind. But that just kind of made me realize like, oh my gosh, there's something really here. And then it was through, like I said, trial and error, validation, trusting the process that I started realizing, like, okay, I really have a gift here. And not just that, but I just felt like I found a piece of myself that I didn't know was missing.
Right.
So, yeah, I feel like it was just the journey. It was the journey into it. And then once I said yes, it was watching it unfold and watching, the impact it was making on others.
Beautiful. That purpose and passion. Beautiful. I love it. Number two, what inspired you to create a podcast, the Spirit Journey Collective?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. So that's another one that I was called into. I mean, I had been, like there were times where I'm like, it'd be nice to start a podcast, but I didn't really know how to. And I wasn't really like passionate about the idea yet. It wasn't like something I was like called into. So this one day I was actually waiting to go do a tarot event at a university. And but there was just like a bunch of red tape, like the department who wanted me, but then they had to like get me in their system, and like the system was behind on the event. So I was kind of in this weird limbo space of like, am I going to the event today, or do they still, or did it not go through because of the the government putting my stuff in because red tape. So I think I finally realized I wasn't doing the event, which was kind of a bummer. But I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, I suddenly got super like all these ideas just started flooding into my head. And I couldn't make sense of it. So I got to the point where I just grabbed my laptop and I just started typing and just like getting all these ideas out. And it was crazy because it went from first person, like me just trying to get it out of my head, to third person. And that was basically my first experience with automatic writing. And I was told that I need to start a podcast and I need to bring people on and I need to help them showcase their purpose. And I also need to, and, there's that's also the birthing of my alignment project, but that came a little bit later. It started there, but then it unfolded later. But yeah, it was just a bunch of downloads came in, and it was just one of those like, okay. And then, I also was told I need to change the name of my business, which was Journey Through Tarot at the time. And I was told I need to change it to something bigger and broader because it was I was keeping myself in a box. Spirit Journey Collective gives me more space if I wanted to add another modality, for instance. I'm not just stuck with tarot. So yeah, it was my new business name got birthed and this idea of the podcast. And I want to say I had that download like January 12th. And I had my first episode out by January 27th. And it's just the doors just open for me. So for me, it was more like obeying, like, okay, and then, but it was crazy because I had no problem finding people. Like people were like lining up to be on my podcast. I thought that part was going to be hard and it wasn't.
Sure.
And so I'm actually coming up to my next episode is going to be my 100th episode. Which is exciting. So yeah, it's been a journey, but for me, I'm naturally more on the shy, quiet side. And it's given me this like extroverted side of me where I get to, for a brief hour, like become great friends with the person I'm speaking with, hear their story, their journey, what they do, what they offer. And it's been so cool being able to facilitate that.
Wonderful. And I love that you were just open to moving forward and how life-changing it is for you, right? I mean, many people will say, you probably get this as well, people telling you they're going to put a podcast together, right? And then they worry about all these different things. But with you, the same thing. I have no problem getting guests. Like the biggest problem was just the microphone, right? With the glitches with that. So never expected that, right? I'm like, okay. But yeah, it's just amazing when you fall into that alignment, how things just come to you. You just attract it. Last question. How has spiritual channeling changed your personal life and the way you do readings?
That's another great question. I think it's really just helped me trust in my spiritual path, my higher power more. It's just been like more of a softening because in the beginning, there was a lot more nerves. There was a lot more like worry of like, oh my God, what if I get it wrong? Now, I mean, yeah, I still have that like questioning in myself, but for the most part, the feedback that I even now, even when there's a small part of doubt in the back of my mind, I just dismiss it because the feedback I get afterwards always aligns with what they need to hear. So it's like 1% of the time is when it doesn't align. And I know I'm not the reader for everyone, so that's totally fine, but for me, it's just been a softening in my belief system, trusting higher power, trusting that like, okay, if they came to me, it's because they were called to come to me. And because they were called to come to me, it's because I'm meant to be that vessel and channel for them. And so they need to hear it a certain way. They need, like whatever it is, I'm fully like trusting that that's my position. And again, it doesn't come from me. If nothing else too, it's also helped me just really strengthen my own spiritual journey with my own higher power because I have to trust. If I don't trust, then it's my ego that's showing up for the reading and not me as the channel being open to understanding that there's something here for them, not for me. I'm literally just the person in the middle. And so I feel like it's again coming back to this the self-trust is still a big one for me. I think that that's just part of my ongoing journey is just learning how to trust myself more. But I think overall I've just softened into this sense of like trust just as a whole with me and my higher power and knowing that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And not just that, but the more it unfolds with my clients, the more I'm like, yeah, there's a higher power. It's got my back because otherwise I wouldn't be able to do what I do, And so I feel like it's just deepened my own spiritual journey and my own spiritual beliefs.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, that was our last question. And as we were talking, is there anything that you have forgotten or something you'd like to share with the listeners? The floor is yours.
I would just say that, tarot, it still has a lot of stigma, a lot of misunderstandings. But if it's something that you feel called to play with, whether it's just to buy a deck for yourself, which I'm not one of those, I'm not a gatekeeper. I don't feel like tarot can only be for the special ones, right? Anyone could read tarot. Again, if you want to do it professionally, I feel like there's an extra layer that goes into that. But if you just want to read for yourself, it's a beautiful self-reflection tool that can be like a daily routine, daily ritual, or just turning to it when you're kind of going through something strong, like or big. So I mean, I would say play with it if you feel called into it. And if you feel called to do it professionally, that's 100% possible too. There are many, many successful readers out there who make a difference and who use the tool for, beautiful means. And so yeah, just be open to it is the best thing I would say. And don't get caught up in some of that hype because it's tarot really is, in my experience, it's been medicine for me personally and for what I've experienced with my clients.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Sarah, so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to take this Ready, Set, Reiki journey with me.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was so great to connect with you again.
Wonderful. And make sure you check out, if you want to go a little deeper, find out a little bit more about Sarah, check out her podcast, her Spirit Journey Collective. Well, thank you, my wonderful listeners. If you would like your question featured on Ready, Set, Reiki, reach out, www.readysetreiki.com, and also check out Feather Sister, www.feathersister.com, if you're more interested in Reiki or yoga. I'm Tracy Seawright, and this has been Ready, Set, Reiki.